Hello everybody, I am Simona and welcome back to the course Design Print Ready Calendars here on Tuts Plus. This is lesson Create a Retro Type Design. In this lesson we will create a neat looking design for our compact calendar. We will be using Adobe Illustrator, so let's start by opening up one of my favorite programs. Open up the lesson file called Lesson 2.1 in the source file folder. As you can see, I already created the text for us. I am using two types of fonts. One is called Timeline Regular, and you can find it over at dafont.com. It's free. The other one is called Marketing Script, and you can also find it over at dafont.com. Now, as you can see, I created quite a few lines of text. The first one says keep calm in the timeline font, and I chose the size 20 points. The next one says it's all ready in the marketing script, and I chose 26 points. The big month January is again in timeline regular and 36 points. And underneath we have a small bird just in 26 points in the marketing script. And then one last line called Eat, Sleep, Love in the timeline font in 10 points. Now for the design part of our calendar, I thought it would be really neat to create a nice retro style look. I thought if we change the colors of the text and add some styling to it, we can easily achieve such a neat design. And I want to show you some really cool tricks how to use the live effects in Adobe Illustrator so you can apply the other month and other text to your liking to the calendar design. Here, let's get started by changing our text into a retro look. So first, we'll select all the text, and then we change it into a really nice red, and you can use, of course, any kind of color you like. Here I'm just choosing the default red in our swatches. And by the way, this file has a document color mode of CMYK. We want to start with that right away since we want to print our calendar later. So I've changed the text to all the red, but it doesn't look like much right now. So let's start by giving it some treatment. First, let's start by creating a new swatch. So we go to the swatches panel and we click the create new swatch icon here. And let's give it a name of beige. And then we want to change the yellow percentage to about maybe 28. And black we want to add 18%. Here we got our little dirty beige, and then we just click OK. Now we've added the swatch beige into our swatches panel. Now, let's zoom in for a second onto the keep calm text. Now we want to select the text and we want to give it a sort of retro style effect by making a copy of it into the back and coloring it beige. We can easily do that and just make a copy to the back and then move it. But what if I want to change my text later? What if I want to use a different slogan? So the easy way to do that, so we have live text, we can make use of the appearance panel. So here let me drag out the appearance panel. If we add another add fill down here, and we change this to red, and then we add another fill, and we give this the color, the beige that we just created, we won't see anything. Nothing has happened. That is because the fill is exactly underneath the red in the same position. Now, we want to move the beige off by a few points. So let me show you how we can do this. Here, in the Add New Effect, we can add a Path Offset Path effect. So if we click that, we get a new pop-up window and we could offset it. But that will offset it all the way around the text, and that doesn't help us much. So when we go back to the effect we can actually choose in the Distort and Transform. And we won't just transform it, we just move it. So here in the Move section, all we need to do is, we'll need to move it. Let's see, maybe 0.5 points for the horizontal, and then maybe 1 point for the vertical. We still don't see anything, but if we check the little preview button here, we can see that now our fill that we moved into the back is now moved down by 1 point vertically and over by half a point. Maybe we want to even move it horizontally a little bit more. And you can really be precise by typing any kind of percentage or points you want. I think the best is 0.625. And when we see, it just moves it a little bit to the right side. So let's click OK. Now we have created the fill to be moved to the right and a little bit down. The next we want to add another fill just underneath the beige one. And we want to give it the color gray. This will act like a shadow effect. So we go and click the Add New Fill, and we drag it underneath, and we change the color to a light gray. And again, because it is directly underneath the beige text, we don't see anything. So we will just repeat and add the effect again of Transform. We can find it here in Distort, Transform, and then Transform. And then we move it again by about 1 point horizontally and probably about 2 points vertically. We click the Preview button, and as you can see, here is our text. So now we added 2 more fills, one in beige and one in gray, and we transformed them to be underneath, a little bit offset to the right and the bottom. Now there's one more thing I would like to show you. I think we should add a stroke. But if we had a stroke, and currently it's set to none, and we choose white as a stroke, and 0.5 points, now if we wanted to align the stroke to the inside, as usual we can do that, and we click the stroke here and the options open up. You can see that the inside and outside align is grayed out. This is because we have text, and if we wanted to do that, we would have to outline the text, and then we can choose Align Stroke to Inside or Align Stroke to Outside. But since we can work with effects again, let me show you another neat trick. We can add another effect, but this time we're going to choose Path, Offset Path. And here we're going to set the value to a negative value of 0.25. Now if I click the preview, did you see that the text stroke just aligned to the inside? So we click OK, and I can see if maybe I want a little bit of a thicker stroke of maybe 0.75. I think that looks good like that. So let's leave it. We're going to apply all the same effects to the rest of the text. I already applied the effects to all the rest of the text, so you don't have to go and watch me do it again and again. And here's the text. Now it's already looking a little bit retro. Not too much, but a little bit. Now, why did we apply the style like this? Well, let me show you quickly. For example, you want to change the text for the month, because now we might be in February or even in March. So all we have to do now is select January and then retype February. And as you can see, without having to apply the effect again, we now just added a new month with the same styles to the text. Here, let me undo this. So all I want to do now is maybe transform the cursive text a little bit more. I want to kind of skew it. So what we can do is, we can again use the Appearance palette to apply the effect. Just select the 2 text lines, and then we can go to the Appearance palette, and then we can go again to Add New Effect. We go back to Distort and Transform, and open the transform window again, and in the pop-up, we'll change the rotate angle to, let's say, about 10 degrees. Now when we hit the preview button, you can see that we just rotate text by 10 degrees. And still the text is live, and if we want to change the text at any time, we can do so without having to apply any of the effects again. So let's click OK. And here we go. Here's our little retro style. Of course, it doesn't look like much now, but let me show you. I've already created a few more elements, and let me paste them in so you know what I'm talking about. So here they are. So here we have it. I created a little border with simple lines and a banner. The banner doesn't look like much now, but once we are creating it in Photoshop with our chalkboard background, it will come to life. So here we have our tiny little vintage retro type style. We can easily change the text again if we wanted to, just as I showed you earlier. So we can apply this to every month we want to design, without having to recreate the effects over and over again. And this is it for this lesson. We created our retro style design here in Illustrator, and we used the live effect with the appearance panel so we can change our type at any time we want without having to recreate all the effects. So let's just move on to the next lesson, where we will finish up our retro design in Adobe Photoshop, and we will be creating our chalkboard background and copy over our vector elements and bring the whole design to life.